episode of Wit, Grit, and No Bullshit with your girl, Cyn City. Y'all already know I'm here with the shits, so we're going to get right into it. We're going to start with news from around the world. Some of this is going to be actual news of what's happening. Some is going to be catching up on stories from last week. And some is just going to be us talking about the nonsense. But we're going to start off with an update regarding Cardi B's civil suit that I told y'all about last week and how I thought it was nonsense and it was just a money grab. I still feel that way. She was found not to be liable in this civil suit. And she also said that when it comes to any other potential folks coming after her in the future, especially with frivolous allegations, that she is going to countersue. She says she is not one of them ones. She is not one of them celebrities that's just going to roll over and allow people to take advantage of her, and allow people to just try and get money out of her because she's not going to pay you. She said that, a lot of celebrities just settle and don't want to deal with it. And regardless of whether they did it or not, they want to keep their name out of the limelight. So a lot of times they just pay and keep it moving. She said she not one of them. She said she don't give a damn. She said especially when she knows she ain't do nothing. She said nah fam, we not doing that. However, she was a little reckless after the trial ended. As she was leaving the courthouse, a journalist did ask her a question that he shouldn't have asked. He was being ridiculous. He asked her something having to do with rumors of Offset getting her pregnant for the 4th time, and he bragging about it. What does Stefan think? And a bunch of other stupidness. So she went from 0 to 60 real quick, and she threw something at him. That ain't a good look, because they already said that you got a bad temper. They already say that, you're kind of reckless with your behavior and you do stuff like this. This is why you have a past of other incidents that you've been involved in. And this is what the lawyer and the other person was saying, the lady who was suing her. And they are going to try to appeal the decision. And they're going to use that as part of the appeal. I can guarantee that. So regardless if people say or do stuff, you can't feed into the stupidity, Cardi. You got to let that shit roll, because this is the type of stuff that people are going to use against you to try and use to get stuff out of you. And I feel like this was just one of those things. It could have been one of them things that somebody told that dude to ask you that so they could show you spasm. So you can't feed into it. So yeah, they said they're going to appeal the decision, so we're going to see where that goes. And I like I said, I believe they're going to use that incident to justify her behavior, and that she did, in fact, hit her and all of that, even though I don't believe that. Next, we saw that Venezuela conducted a show of force. They conducted an overflight over a U.S. naval vessel. They had 2 F-16s that flew over the USS Jason Dunham on Thursday, which is a guided missile destroyer that was dispatched out to the region to conduct counter-narco-terrorism operations. So this took place in international waters. It's believed to be as a result of the U.S. operations that were conducted against Venezuelan cartels last week. And that operation did not go too hot. But this is believed to be a result of that. The F-16s were also believed to have weapons on board. So none of that is good. Hopefully these hostilities die down and don't escalate any further, but I'm not holding my breath. The Epstein files that just won't die, simply because of a lot of the American people want to know what the hell is so important that DOJ is holding on to these files. Clearly, there are a lot of people that feel like there's something that's trying to be hidden. That's why this is being made into such an ordeal. We also saw that this week a lot of the victims of Jeffrey Epstein have come out and spoke against this, calling for the release of the files. Some of them requesting the files for a type of closure for them and to begin their healing process. There's one victim in particular who said she doesn't remember a lot of the stuff that happened to her during that time frame, probably because she's blocked a lot of it out as a protection mechanism. And she wants to know what happened. And she wants to know what happened so that she can have that closure and to begin to heal properly. There are some that are calling this calls for the information from the victims a hoax and not real. But there's also been some information that has been released, some of which includes surveillance videos along with the raw video footage from Mr. Epstein's jail that was missing the first time the information was released. A lot of this information that was released newly is not really new. It's a lot of stuff that's already been talked about or shown in some other capacity, to include flight logs and other data. There's also been some reports that there are members of the DOJ who were caught in an interview that they didn't know they were part of. They were talking to someone that I guess they didn't realize was a journalist, and in that conversation said something along the lines of the DOJ plans to redact any information having to do with Republican individuals that are a part of the files and leaving the part of the files that incriminate Democratic individuals. Either way, all of this has been very toxic. Everything associated with this case and these files, either you release it or you don't, but either way, I don't think we're going to hear the end of this, because there's a lot of people that are calling for this information to be released, and there's a lot of people that are calling for it to be left alone. But I don't think it's going to be the left alone part. I think files will be released, but I think there will be a lot of information that's redacted. Not necessarily news, but have you guys seen the documentary on Netflix called The Unknown Number, The High School Catfish? If you haven't seen this documentary, just speed the video up and go past this, because I'm about to give a lot of spoilers. This documentary had me hotter than fish grease. When I tell you I was pissed watching this documentary, I was livid. Just because there are so many, especially teenagers, which it's right on cue for the end of this show, but there are a lot of teenagers that when they get to their teen years, they become little hellions. All they do is tell their parents, especially, oh my god, I hate you guys. You guys are not cool parents. Like, you guys are so mean. You know what I mean? Like, they say a lot of hurtful stuff to their parents. They're mean. They don't realize the impact of their words, especially when you're talking to your parents. And not realizing their parents are doing everything they can to take care of them and putting them before themselves, and like just all the stuff that goes along with being a parent. Not to say all parents are like that, because there are some parents out there that are some doozies, okay? There are some parents out there who should not have had children, okay? That's the nicest way to say it. But when you see kids who genuinely love their parents, especially both of their parents, and then one of the parents turns out to be, I don't even know how to describe this situation, but when you have a parent that is not meant to be a parent, when all their kid wants is the love of their parent and, wants that relationship, and then you know, that parent is a toxic individual. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is, but it sucks. So then, like, you know, when you have those parents who treat their kids like shit, or they're absolutely batshit crazy, I mean, you know, it kind of sucks. So if you have not watched this, then you might want to watch it. Like I said, if you haven't seen it, keep moving through the video because I don't want to spoil it for you. But this documentary is about 2 teenage high school kids who are being cyberbullied, and they're being cyberbullied for almost 2 years. It's like 22 months by the time they figure out who the person behind this is. And the type of behavior that this bully is doing is egregious. Like, it started out with these 2 kids are a boy and a girl, and they're dating. They've been dating for years, but they've been friends since like they were like in elementary or middle school or something. And then their friendship became a relationship. The parents of both of these kids were friends. They did everything together. Like, this is like one of those relationships like that you see these kids grew up together, they date all through high school and then get married, and like it's that relationship that people dream about, you know what I mean? However, the bully starts with attacking this friendship and this relationship. It starts with a event, and, you know, making the girl feel like she should not go to this event, talking to her like crap. So it kind of sets the scene for who it's made to look like the bully is from the beginning. But the texts go from, you know, you're a terrible girlfriend, you're ugly, you're this, he should break up with you, he really wants me, to you're ugly, you are horrible, you should kill yourself, to the girl. And then to the boy, it's like other crazy stuff, but it mainly focuses, the information they provide really doesn't go into as much detail of the text messages that the boy's getting. It mainly covers a majority of the stuff that the girlfriend's getting. It gets to the point where it makes them start to argue, because it's making her question whether he is being loyal to her and wants to continue this relationship because of the text messages she's getting. It gets to the point where, like I said, the bully is telling her to kill herself. It's telling her that she's not sexually advanced and needs to be, because that's what he wants. Mind you, this child is, I think, between 14 and 16. Right? And it's like, oh, he just wants you to give him sloppy toppy and all this stuff, and you don't make him aroused. You should make him aroused. Like, the text messages were so raunchy that the school administration, when they were reading these text messages, because the parents eventually took this to the school, especially because some of the text messages were coming in on school property. The administration was like, I'm a grown man, like, I think it was the principal, and he was like, and this is making me blush, like, this is insane. So eventually it gets to the point where the couple break up, because they feel like if they break up that this will stop. It doesn't. It actually gets worse. Excuse me. And at one point, the boy starts dating a girl in another town, and the bully starts texting the mom of that girl from the other town. Like, how did you even get this information? Like, it was very sick. Now, it is basically, it gets to a point where it is basically like mental warfare that's being played upon these kids. You know what I mean? It turns out to be one of the parents. It turns out to be the young lady's mother who is doing this. She is the one that's texting both of them. But the part that I just can't wrap my mind around is that someone would text their own child telling them to unalive themselves. And it was to the point where the girl was questioning whether she should continue. Like, she was questioning whether she was good enough. She was questioning her appearance. Like, she had issues with her weight, which she didn't have issues with weight in general, but she had issues with her weight. And her mom knew this. Her mom even said that. Like, oh, I knew that she was insecure, so I played off of that. Oh, what? What is wrong with you? Who does that? Like, I'm telling you, this documentary had me hot because I was like, who does this? Who does these things to their own child? And the part that made me so mad is when they showed up to the house to tell her that she was caught and that they knew she had done it. She at first tried to lie about it, and then she eventually said that this was the case, but she never really came out right and said it. She just kind of beat around the bush of saying she did it. But then when they bring the daughter in to tell the daughter, she's holding the daughter, caressing her, and oh my God, I can't leave her. Bitch, what? You need to leave her. You need to be far away from her as possible. You have, the father wound up putting her out and said she couldn't be around the daughter. And then, of course, when she got locked up and said, this is a true story. This happened in Michigan. So you can look it up. But I'm telling you, to me, it was clear that she was jealous of her daughter. She was jealous and she tried to blame it on childhood traumas that she went through and that she was trying to protect her from the same stuff. How are you protecting her? Please explain it to me. Because she said she was assaulted when she was a kid and that she didn't want her to experience that. So you're making her become an introvert and stay to herself, and you think that's what's going to save her? Because it's not. She's like, I wasn't worried about her unaliving herself because she's stronger than that. You don't know what she's stronger than because you were mentally breaking this child down. I'm telling y'all, it had me hot. And the fact that she had the audacity and nerve to be a part of this documentary and talk during these interviews, not a fan. Not a fan. So if you haven't watched it and you want to watch it, check it out. The last part of the news is the U.S. has deployed F-35s to Puerto Rico. This is in another counter-narcotic operation. I personally don't think this is going to help the tensions that are already rising in the region with these type of operations that are happening. I actually think it's just going to escalate it further. But we've seen other assets already in the region, like the WIT I told you guys about. But we should start to see these aircraft begin moving next week sometime. Like I said, there's already other multiple assets in the area. And this is all a part to crack down on cartel in the region that are bringing drugs into the U.S. So yeah, that's it for the news. That is it for the news. All right, moving on. Moving on to sports. First game of the season kicked off last night between the Eagles and the Cowboys. And boy, did it start off crazy. Within the first minute of the game, we had an ejection. Jalen Carter was ejected from the game for spitting on the Cowboys the Cowboys quarterback, Dak Prescott. In case you didn't know, I went to the same high school that he did. No big deal. Anywho, there's been some debate, mainly from me, on whether Dak should have received some form of punishment as well because he was a little chippy. and I felt like he kind of instigated the behavior. However, the instigation from him did not warrant him being spit on. My mother taught me as a child, spitting on people is the most disrespectful and disgusting thing you could do. I don't think it warrants it. However, Dak did spit first, but he did not spit on Jalen. He spit on the ground. However, Jalen did take some offense to that and thought he was spitting at him, and that's kind of what pushed this, to escalate. However, when you review the clip of the interaction, I can see how Jalen was mad. However, like I said, you don't spit on nobody. The game did continue without Jalen because, like I said, he was ejected. The Cowboys came up with the first touchdown of the game. Jalen Hurts answered right back to that with his own touchdown that he ran in himself. Cowboys scored very quickly yet again. And then once again, Jalen Hurts had the answers again, running in another touchdown. Every time the Cowboys did something, the Eagles answered back. At some point, the Eagles got ahead. There were 3 dropped balls by Lamb that were necessary balls at that. But the Eagles wind up coming up with the win with 24-20. I think if Lamb didn't drop those 3 passes, the game would have definitely went a lot different. News in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark is set to miss the rest of the season. This is because she has had a few injuries this season, but this final injury has put her out since July. She has been working pretty hard in hopes to return to the court. However, it has been determined that is not what is safe and best for her and her health. So she will not return until next season. Obviously, she has stated that she is disappointed in this. She actually said disappointed doesn't describe how she feels. But I'm wishing Caitlin a speedy recovery. Also, for some reason, people like to see old people fight. I don't know what the deal is, but Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather are set to fight next year. These 2 boxing icons that retired for some reason want to fight again. Probably must be the money. Must be the money. So we saw the last time Mike was in the ring, it didn't end well, but yet here he come at the ripe old age of 59, fighting Floyd Mayweather at 48. I don't know who asked for this. Really, who asked for this? It'll be entertaining to say the least, but I can tell you who's not going to pay money to watch it is me. I know there are a lot of Angel Reese haters out there, but y'all be doing the most with y'all hatred for this child. I think y'all be forgetting how young this child is, and she's also a black girl from Maryland. They gonna be chippy. They gonna say what's on their mind. They gonna speak from the heart, and y'all just don't like it, see it. So I get it, whatever. But y'all calling this girl Sid from Ice Age is disrespectful on so many levels. Because I done seen it in the comments along with a lot of other hateful stuff, and it's ridiculous. Anywho, moving on. She has been suspended due to reaching a total of 8 technical fouls for the season. So she has been banned from 1 game. But she had to put her big girl panties on also and apologize to her teammates and the front office because she said some stuff in an interview that was misconstrued according to her. There wasn't enough context behind it. But it came off as she was talking shit about her teammates in the front office. So she had to apologize for that. And she did. She's set to return back to the court sometime this weekend. And the last sports bit of news is an athlete from the University of Kentucky by the name of Lakin Snelling is accused of hiding her deceased newborn in her closet. Remember how I said not everybody deserves to be a parent? Yeah. Her fellow classmates from high school, probably some in college too, said she was a bully. Like, she was a known bully. She was a bully all the time. One girl described her as a serial bully who bullied her and her siblings and her other friends. She said she even tried to run her over with her vehicle. That she had another friend who had to transfer schools because of how much this girl bullied her. So yeah, she's known to be an asshole, okay? But police were called out because of the body of the baby being found in the closet. The first bit of testing was inconclusive on the death of the baby. So they will have to conduct further testing on him to determine the cause of death. However, she has been charged with tampering with physical evidence, concealing the birth of an infant, as well as abuse of a corpse. Of course, she has pled not guilty to these charges. I don't know how she thinks she's going to get away with that. The baby was in your closet and it's yours. How you plead not guilty? Child, if you don't have 18 seats. Anyways, so yeah, I don't see how this is going to end well for her, but there's a special place for people like you, and I hope you have the day you deserve. Whew, child. All right, moving on to the final words of the show, like I do every time. The first week I kind of ended with focusing on the importance of finding the right relationship partner out there, someone that'll be there for you through the good and the bad, person that'll help you grow, that'll challenge you, that even hates your favorite rapper. And then last week I covered the importance of taking care of yourself, setting those boundaries, taking time to focus on you, setting spa days, whatever you need to do, but taking care of yourself. So this week, I want to discuss parenthood. And this, it's been a topic today throughout this whole podcast. We've been talking about parents a lot in this podcast, so it's only fitting that we talk about parenthood. As parents, we all have different struggles, right? Especially depending on the age that you started having children. Your first kid, you pretty much grow up with, right? No matter the age that you have this first kid, you are still growing with this child because you are learning how to be a parent. You're trying to figure it out. Because you're learning to be a parent, it's almost guaranteed you will not get it right. It is almost guaranteed that first kid is going to go through it with you, okay? Because you were trying to figure it out. You're still learning, and you're not perfect. And you're not meant to be perfect, right? So it's almost guaranteed you're going to do some things completely different from one kid to the next. Because as the time goes, you're learning more stuff. You're picking up more things from other parents, from books, whatever you're using, to learn how to be a parent. And sometimes you just figuring it out. You're just winging it, okay? So from child to child, if you have more than one, you're going to get better, with each child, hopefully. Because some people don't. I ain't going to say no names, though. So like I said, it's almost guaranteed you're not going to do things right, at least. No, that's with every child. You're not going to do. You're not perfect. It's just not going to happen. You can also expect that once you hit them teenage years, child, that shit is not for the weak, okay? You are going to go through the struggles when you hit them teenage years. It is almost guaranteed. And we all thought the terrible twos were the worst times. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That was a lie. Okay? I thought the terrible twos with my kids was the worst time of my life. And then I hit high school. Child, this shit is not for the weak. It is not for the weak. We all, have to go through it at some point. And maybe we're not doing okay. Okay? Maybe it's rough in these streets, okay? But the high school times will put you on your ass. It's just what it is. And if you weren't smart like me and you decided to have kids close together in age, and you have 2 kids in high school, like me, good luck. Okay, good luck. I feel like us as mothers struggle the most with the battles with the kids. Because they try us the most. However, usually the boys will eventually come back to moms, hopefully, and be a mama's boy, be about they mamas. The girls, forget it. It ain't gonna happen. But hopefully in their adult years, they'll look back and realize how much we did for them, how much they appreciate us. But I'm not really holding my breath on that to happen. There are days that they're going to hate you, because mine do. Yep. There's days that they're going to love you, that they're going to respect you, and then disrespect you in the same breath. Yeah, there's going to be those days. I thought Iraq gave me PTSD. But being a parent has given me a whole nother level of PTSD, okay? A whole new level. It's given me PTSD. It's given me depression. It's given me anxiety. But I love them. I love them. I do. Yeah. They hurt your feelings 1 minute, and then they want to hug you the next day like nothing happened. Get your Sour Patch ass away from me, please. Get away from me. Okay? Also, no one talks about how expensive high school is. Nobody talks about this, okay? Especially that senior year. Holy banana balls, okay? Like, nobody talks about this. Nobody talks about how expensive it is. I'm about to start selling feet pics soon, because the amount of stuff I've had to pay for in the school year just started. It just started. Okay? So, not to mention, do I got to pay for all this stuff for his senior year, but then I got to start paying for stuff for college. Like, from like the cap and gown, senior photos, stuff for his dorm room, application fees for the colleges. I need a prayer, a drink, and a hug, because I'm not going to make it. I'm just not. But to my fellow mamas out there, just remember, you got this. Okay? We got this. You're not alone, because I'm going through it too. Okay? Best believe. And this time will pass. It will. At least that's what I keep telling myself. So I'm going to just keep telling myself that every day. Because, child, keep your head up. Find your favorite snack and a bottle of wine and go hide in the pantry. Okay? Until next time, thanks for tuning in yet again. Very soon we will start having guests on. I know y'all done heard me say that a few times, but seriously, I've been just trying to get the feel of this, trying to get everything going, and then I will start having the guest on. My first guest will be, or one of my first guests, depending on how our schedules align up, is going to be one of my teammates from Iraq, who is now an author. He allows his experiences with grief and other things be his creativity to guide his pen. Can't wait to have him on. His name is Mark Goujon. And it's been almost 20 years since the last time we talked. So I can't wait to have him on, catch up, and just see where life has taken us both. But until then, he is also just to put this out there, the person that helped me come up with the name of the podcast. So I'm excited to have him on as my first guest. So until then, this is another episode of Wit, Grit, and No Bullshit with your girl Cyn City in the books. Until next time, love, peace, and fish grease. I'm out.